After a recent video about American streetcars, I've got an idea to discuss the most difficult part of the urban transformation process, which can often undermine even the best ideas, namely about people and effective communication with them. There are enough good examples in the world. There are many cities where everything is done right from the point of view of urbanism. And it would seem just copy the best solutions, but unfortunately it does not work like that. In general, the appearance of cities is shaped by three main things: money, technology, and people's understanding of how their city should evolve. The connection between money and urban development is clear. The more financial resources available, the greater are possibilities for implementing various projects. Technology gives us an opportunity to bring our ideas to life. The more advanced technologies we have, the more complex projects we can implement. But our understanding of what a city should be directs the flow of money and technology in one direction or another, and it has the greatest impact on the outcome. And the lack of this understanding hinders lots of wealthy and developed countries from creating comfortable cities, despite all the exemplary models worldwide. This includes the perceptions, habits, and preconceptions of both ordinary people and politicians, who are generally also ordinary people but can directly influence the process. Forming this understanding takes years, and changing it also requires significant time and effort as well. In the democratic systems, politicians respond for social demand, but voters often struggle to envision alternatives to the established order, and they simply do not like changes. While change is possible, it is surely a challenging and long process, and effective communication plays a central role in facilitating this change. It involves showing successful examples, presenting compelling arguments and explanations, and relying on factual evidence and researches as much as possible. It is also necessary to understand the risks and not to keep them silent, otherwise opponents will voice them and then it will be much more difficult to discuss. In addition, it is very important to carefully listen and analyze the criticism and counter-arguments of the opponents. Each such discussion is a stress test for the project and an opportunity to make it better and more viable, because criticism ignored at the discussion stage can become a physical problem after implementation. And in no case should you take this criticism personally, and even worse, consider your opponents to be fools who do not understand basic things, because this attitude can lead you to complete failure. At the same time, it is important to separate out criticism for the sake of criticism, which is not supported by any arguments. Engaging in such a discussion process can be lengthy and exhausting for all the parties involved. However, the outcome can lead to an improved project that takes into account the interests of broader range of citizens. As the project moves into the implementation stage, effective communication with the public becomes even more crucial. The fact is that every system, no matter how bad it is in a state of certain stability to which everyone is accustomed, and any changes can be perceived and interpreted in a negative way. For example, City X is very car-oriented, and at some point its city hall begins the process of developing bicycle infrastructure and public transport. Although a great idea, its implementation could take several years, and during that time there is a risk that car drivers will experience worsening conditions, while cyclists and public transport passengers have not yet experienced sufficient improvements to compensate it. At this point, there is a risk of significant public discontent, which is likely to be seized upon and amplified by political opponents. This moment is very risky and could lead to the victory of opponents in the municipal elections and the stopping of changes on the way to completion. It is also important to understand that the closer a project is to completion, the smaller changes can be made to it. So, in such situations, high-quality communication and clarification from the city authorities is critically important. Another serious point is that sometimes the proposed changes are so unusual and shocking to the community that no arguments may work. Then, it could be helpful to implement smaller-scale pilot projects using tactical urbanism methods. These projects can serve as tangible references and counter-arguments against claims such as this is not for our people or our climate does not support such initiatives. You know, it helps when it's already in your city and it works. Can such an approach satisfy everyone? Certainly not. Unfortunately, there is no magic button that instantly makes everyone your ally. The urban planning process is always a compromise between the interests of various stakeholders, and someone will always be dissatisfied. But this approach makes it possible to take into account the needs of as many people as possible and to make the city more fair and balanced, which is definitely worth the effort. It is important to note that I'm not suggesting simply asking people how things should be and blindly following their ideas, because it will be a transfer of responsibility to them. With the right approach, urban planners must understand the main problems of people and then find the optimal solution to solve these problems. And that's what I wanted to talk about. If you liked this video, please hit the subscribe button and leave your comments. And also please consider supporting of this channel through Patreon. See you in the next videos.